So that's Richard.
Oh, is that?
That was, yeah, I thought. And it's A on here, but she's not here. Let's see. So
Yeah,
anyway.
two. Okay. Oh, yeah. I got it. Okay.
You want a minute?
Yep. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen regular Monday, September 19th, 2022 meeting. Would you all please, the meeting is public report, proceeding is being recorded. The agenda is subject to change. Please join me in pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What's that?
She's coming on. She's going with the marker today, so. Is she also
All right.
That you, Bill?
Yep. Yeah.
Reminds me I should shut mine. Let's start off with special offers and presentations. Bridget was A, but.
She called this morning and canceled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So next up would be Don.
I hope it doesn't take too long, but I'm doing my best. Okay, I prepared a statement which was given to the select board previously, so they have it in their package. And so I'm just going to read it and summarize it, try not to take too much time here. Good evening. My name is Don Hernan, a planning board member since 2008. My comments have not been approved by the planning board. The planning board lost its administrative assistance from the CEO and the planning board clerk when both left town employment on July 7th, 2022. This meant that the planning board had no administrative assistance for recording meetings on YouTube, writing many meeting minutes, or even more importantly, proceeding with the consideration of projects under application for site plan review. The planning board has been able to continue the site plan reviews and has processed several projects, including professional offices at the former Cousins School, a cell tower on Middle Road, and a wood processing yard on Route 111. The yard is actually going to be discussed in a public hearing coming up on Wednesday. And there is considerable administrative work in processing the applications, doing site walks, publishing notices of public hearing, documenting results, and a notice of decision that must be recorded in the York County Registry of Deeds. Okay, and I put in here, and you might want to figure out who this is. The old guy doing this administrative work, instead of working on his horrible golf game, received a lot of help from the town hall staff, including the select board clerk, the tax collector, the town clerk, the treasurer, and the assessor. Thanks very much to the town hall staff. The town has recently hired a new CEO and a new CEO assistant / planning board clerk. So the planning board administrative work should settle down soon, I hope. Unfortunately, the select board has not helped the planning board in correcting known deficiencies in the town zoning ordinance. I will read and submit for the record my email dated September 7th, 2022, entitled "Failure to Include Proposed Lyman Zoning Ordinance Change, contract zoning on the November 22 warrant." This email was sent to the select board clerk, copied to the planning board members, the town clerk, and the CEO, with a request that the email be sent to the select board members. And I assume you got it, I'm not sure. Anyway, I'll just sort of summarize it. Basically, I said this was dated September 7th. Dear select board members, I did not attend the select board meeting on 9/6/22 because I thought that the proposed wording, which I provide below, was exactly what the select board voted on your previous meeting on, I believe, August 22nd, 22. And also, I did not want to spend several hours at town hall waiting for the item to come up, especially since there is a planning board meeting tonight. That was September 7th, which will require some time at town hall. I was concerned to learn after watching YouTube that the select board did not approve. The vote was 2-2, motion failed. This proposed change to the Lyman zoning ordinance, section 1.8.3, contract zoning, for presenting to the voters on November 22nd warrant. This change is needed to clarify the existing wording in the Lyman zoning ordinance so that the contract zoning is less subjective and more beneficial to the town. I'm making an issue of this item because I thought the select board and the planning board are on the same page as to the need for this change. That may be incorrect. The town has entered into at least 2 contracts with landowners, as I remember. One was Funky Bow, the other was on the Plain Brewery, and we might have done one with R&R Oil, without significant opposition. These contracts proposed a land use that is allowed in the commercial district, but not in the general purpose of the residential district. And after review and imposing conditions, the planning board recommended approval to the select board, and those 2 contracts were approved. Now, the weakness in the current Lyman zoning ordinance contract zoning wording came to light when an application was received for a land use in the residential district, which was dense housing at the former Cousin School property that is not allowed anywhere in any zoning district in town. The planning board reviewed this application and after a thorough review did not recommend approval. The purpose of the proposed change is to remove, or was to remove, as best possible, the wording, parentheses, the 4 words, but not limited to, that might allow any contract use on any property in town, anywhere. And also remove some ambiguous wording, which was stated is for land with an unusual nature or location. And to add some wording that ensures or tries to ensure that there's some benefit to the town. And that's provided below. Anyway, apparently it's too late for this proposed change to be placed on the November warrant. I can only hope that the select board members will carefully consider any changes proposed by the planning board or the ordinance review committee in a timely manner, possibly through a joint meeting, so that needed changes to town ordinances can be made. And then I attached to this the proposed change with the wording indicated. Getting back to, I also included in the handout to the selectmen a copy of the applicable state statute, MRS 30A, section 4352, paragraph 8, which talks about contract zoning and states it doesn't have that, but not limited to in there. It just says one of the areas in section 8 is of the state statute says establish rezoned areas that are consistent with the existing and permitted uses within the original zone. So let me just continue on my discussion here. Failure to approve the zoning ordinance change on the contract zoning for the November 22 warrant leaves the town with a zoning ordinance that is ambiguous and possibly in violation of state statute. And I'd like to also point out the town charter, of which there's copies in the lobby, and it's also available online. And there was a wonderful for the YouTube or whoever, there was a wonderful postcard that came out. I got it Saturday, I think, that talks about it. And someone just showed me that you take your phone here and it takes you right to it. So it's all wonderful. Anyhow, getting back to what I was going to say, the proposed revision to the town charter section 3.15 will change the process to revise town ordinances as follows. A, changes must be approved by the voters at a general election in November. And that's probably a good thing because it gets more voters out. But that might mean that this contract zoning change, which didn't go this year, will be delayed until when? November of 24? When's the next general election? Also, the changes are to be processed by an ordinance review committee, which still currently does not exist. And that requires the signatures of 75 registered voters for any change to go on the ballot, no matter who proposes it. This requirement will take time and effort. So I was a member, and it's gone out of business now. The Charter Commission in 2015 and also the one in 21, which the report was submitted. And I signed off on this change. I didn't agree with the 75 number, but voters, that's okay. It's got a lot of good material in it. I'm just pointing that out. Now I want to change some topics. Two select board members came to the planning board meeting on August 17th. And one select board member apparently did not like the way a planning board member, which I got to admit was probably me, was describing the select board action on this proposed contract zoning change, or I should say the lack of action. The select person, I believe it was Mr. Hatch, loudly stated ethics violation. I'm not sure what that means, but if there's any, I just want to point out, if there's any allegation of bias on the part of any planning board member, please refer to the planning board bylaws, section 1.4, which describes conflict of interest, allegations of bias, and provides specific written comments to the planning board for consideration. Also, I would want to ask if the select board has adopted any bylaws or code of ethics to govern their conduct. If not, I've included in your handout, sometimes I say things maybe I shouldn't, a copy of attachment F to the final report of the 2015 Charter Commission, which proposed a new chapter section entitled Personal Interest and Ethical Behavior, which the select board might consider adopting. This proposed charter change went to the voters in June of 2016 and passed by a vote of 315 to 59 with 30 blanks, but it did not become effective because there were not enough total votes cast. You got to have at least 30% of the number of voters who voted in the last gubernatorial election to vote in a charter change, whether they vote for or against. You got to have that at least. The select board at that time was asked several times in writing and verbally to send the charter changes to the November of 2016 when there would be more voters, but they at that time chose not to do so. So it went through, it didn't pass, okay? I mean, it passed, but it didn't become effective. And that's really all I've got to say. I'm not here necessarily to throw any rocks. I'm just saying that I was very disappointed in the action of the select board. I thought that all the wording was agreed to. I could have come to that one meeting, which I didn't. I'd come to other meetings. I thought we had the exact wording down. And as a result of the tie vote, and I guess it's too late, none of this goes to the voters in November on the contract zoning. And I'm just trying to fix a problem that we identified and came up with. We didn't come up with it, we noticed it, yeah, and I voted for the original change, so you can blame that on me if you want, but so did the voters of the town. We found a problem, we wanted to fix it. The select board, by its inaction or tie vote, prevented this to going to the voters. So we got to do better. We can't do this. This isn't the way it's supposed to work in my mind. It's supposed to be something where you work together. It is supposed to be, oh, well, last minute, let's scrap it. And that's my comment. Thank you.
Can I ask Don a question, Rusty? Don,
Yeah.
as I understand it, the change on contract zoning, MMA recommended that change also.
I don't know if they recommended it or not. I do know that if you read the state statute, it's maybe there's a section, MMA has a section on contract zoning in their planning board manual.
I was reading the transcript
of
from the meeting on
Okay.
the Cousins, and
Cousin School. Yeah, maybe we brought it up in this.
yeah,
other stuff came up.
and I remember the MMA recommended, said this, if the select board goes through on,
Right.
Planning board, the MMA said this would be something you should look at, and I believe our town attorney chimed in and agreed.
Yeah, and I don't have instant recall on that, John. It may well be correct on that.
Yeah, I was just going through stuff, trying to,
Yeah, this isn't something that we weren't trying to put over a fast one. We're not trying to, the planning board wasn't trying to eliminate contract zoning. What we were trying to do was plug a big hole, because the way the wording is now, contract zoning could allow you to put any use. Think of the worst use that's not in our ordinance anywhere, could be allowed any place in town. And that's not right. I don't think it's right. And it's not in state statute. So the word's in there. The only hope will be if it comes to the planning board in its infinite wisdom will not recommend approval, and the select board won't try to approve it. So I'm just saying there's a problem here. It needs to get fixed. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not. If you want to ask me any other questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them, but I've got some homemade lasagna waiting at home, and I'm gonna go home and have that in a minute or two. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them. Otherwise, thank you very much for listening.
No, I just want to address since I'm mentioned in.
Yes, I did mention you.
Yes, you did. And I was here, but I wasn't here as a select board member. I was here as a,
No,
as a
I-
private citizen.
I did not say that.
You said 2 select board members were here.
Okay, fine,
Okay, the other person was here as an applicant.
correct.
Okay, your conduct, I was not going to speak to this in public. I have been asking.
It's a public meeting.
If you wait and let me finish, please. I've asked Lindsay to get a hold of your chair so I could speak with the chair about this. I didn't want to air out dirty laundry or be accusing you of anything. However, the conduct that night, I felt was not proper. You were giving your personal opinions, okay? And you could tell with this applicant and this whole project, there has been a lot going on. I have watched a person come up here for the same type of business. I was here in my earlier days.
Yeah.
Watched him come up to the planning board, had his application, pulled out a piece of paper out of his pocket that was hand drawn, and you guys passed it no problem. This applicant's had to have engineering drawings and this and that, and you were just less than polite to him, okay? And then when you made the dig towards ordinance not being passed, that's when you put me into the select board moment, which I thought was unnecessary.
Wait, let me ask a question. When you talk about this applicant, which applicant are you referring to?
The applicant that was there that night,
Which one?
Mr. Alves.
Okay, so are you trying to say that the planning board has not given him every benefit of the doubt?
No, I think the planning board has done well, but you have gone and asked for another site visit. You were bringing things up there, and when he was walking out the door, this is the one that put me right over the edge. When he walked out the door,
Yeah.
and he said, "Well, I guess I got to go back to work," and you said, 3 times is a charm, maybe.
Well, that means you gotta review in fact,
I understand that, but you're on video
I know,
and stuff,
I
and
know.
people have opinions. And when you are as a board member,
uh-huh,
it should be independent and just say, maybe, put something out there that says, well, what's going on here? So those are things I look at when we're up here. You look at us the same way.
may I respond to you?
I'm finished now, yes.
Okay, well, here's the deal with that particular applicant. The planning board did approve the application.
Mhm.
It went forth and it got challenged and it went to Superior Court.
Yep.
Superior Court issued a finding, it was a 17-page finding.
Yep.
And they remanded it, that's the word they used, which I'm not sure exactly what remanded means, but they kicked it back to the, to the Zoning Board of Appeals, which then
Amended it back to
with the
planning board.
approval of the town attorney, send it back to us.
Yep.
So the planning board has to reconsider that application.
Yep.
And it turns out that another planning board member and myself met with the applicant here, and we have gone through the package to see what material would be appropriate for him to resubmit.
Mhm.
If he doesn't want to resubmit anything, that's fine. If he wants to resubmit, and there's some issues, there's some minor issues with the package, but it's been over a year since the planning board has looked at that. So in my opinion, the planning board should take a thorough look at the project. And remember, we have recommended approval for that twice.
Oh, absolutely.
Because whether you like it or not, I mean, a lot of people apparently don't like it. It's an allowed use in that zone.
Mhm.
It's an allowed use in that zone. And I don't have any personal, financial or other consideration with that project. Let me finish, please. I'm unbiased on that project. I would like, when I said 3 times a charm, what I meant was, I'd like to see this go through and make sure that the planning board does its process 100% effective. Do it properly, give plenty of notice, give people a chance to talk about it, and then make the decision at that time by voting on it.
Mhm.
So if there's an allegation, again, as I mentioned, if there's an allegation of any improper conduct on a planning board member, my comment to you as an individual or as a select board member or anybody else in the town, put it in writing and go on the website and read the planning board bylaws which specify how to do this.
I have it right here.
Okay, fine.
I have it.
And if you want to go ahead and do that, fine, but there's no, and I was pissed off that night, and I'll tell you why. because I've been busting my butt getting these projects through and spending a lot of time on it. And then I get a select board that doesn't seem to want to cooperate. That's my opinion. Now, maybe that's wrong. Maybe I'm missing the whole picture here. But it seems like we had a problem. We saw the problem. We put this forth in April to the select board. It was too soon because the June election was coming up too quickly. You have to get everything printed up. So it bounced to November. And there's a timeline now. And now after we go through all this effort again, have a public hearing, get comments. We got other things that we were going to propose. We got negative comments. We couldn't resolve it. There's two things we did resolve. So we submitted them, and then the select board sits there and says, nah, I don't think so. 2-2, forget it. That bothered the heck out of me. And if that showed through at that meeting, it's probably showing through right now. I'm sorry, but it did. And if I've been unprofessional, if you don't think it's proper, file a complaint in writing. That's my 2 cents.
Like I said, I wasn't gonna do it here, I was gonna talk.
That's
to
fine.
your-
No, I'd
to
rather
your
get it on
chair.
the table. I don't want to be stabbed in the back by anybody.
That won't happen by me.
Well, I hope not.
guarantee you-
I
I
certainly
guarantee you
hope
that. I can
If you got
guarantee-
something to say it in writing and put it to the planning board.
I certainly will.
And I'm just saying that the planning board is trying to follow the rules. And every one of the decisions we make, according to the seminar that I went to, I was the only one in town who went to it here, this last one in August, which the town paid for up in Portland, 4 hours. Basically, it's a legal proceeding. And if you don't follow the rules exactly, people can challenge it. And same thing with the notice of public hearings. If they, it says they gotta be received or they gotta be sent out, depends how you read it, 10 days. Well, the way the mail works now or doesn't work, 10 days is not enough. So we gotta send stuff out earlier, make sure everybody gets it, and try as best possible to make sure it goes to the current residents who are abutters.
Yeah, their findings, the court's findings goes right back to the same thing you were alluding to here of no admin support. It was the same thing during that time with us with the select board clerk. We didn't have the talents of Lindsay here at that time. We were in disarray. So it was a really unfortunate, I never criticized the planning board for what they did on that application. I'm just saying what happened maybe because you were upset that night at us and it came out. But what you guys did say, well, you did, okay? And I do too, okay? But what you guys did make very clear that night is that we need to work together to get those applications out right, the notifications out right, the cards out
Well, wait a
right,
minute.
and all that.
You're not gonna be doing any of that because the we is the planning board and the planning board clerk. And that's the last, we've done 3 since then.
Yeah.
And they've gone out right because I personally filled them out and made sure they got out right. Got the notices published in the Portland Press Herald, took the notice of decision after it was approved, took it out to York County Registry, got it signed, did a lot of administrative work to make sure so we didn't just sit here on 3 applications. So that part's going on and I hope we can settle it down. I want to get out of this business. I don't want to do this. I got to work on my golf game. I mean, it sucks now and it's not going to get any better. So, no, I don't want to make this personal, Tom, but
No,
if you do, you can if you want. But again, if you have a serious concern about conduct of any planning board member, please file a complaint in writing. We do not do business on verbal.
okay.
Thank you for your attention, or my attention. Anything else? I'm leaving. Thank you.
Hold your eyes.
Anyway, have a good evening, gentlemen.
All right, so,
Sorry about that.
I don't know how to deal with the mail. It's more of a meeting minutes of the last meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
there isn't really any action to do on
Right,
this.
exactly.
No, it's just mail. I mean,
Yeah.
you have it on your agenda, so I don't know if you guys typically review it. Basically, public.
Yeah, oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry, yes.
No,
I got carried away with Dawn, I got moved to A to B. Yeah, let's move on. We
Long
can go to public
dissertation.
input, anybody? Anything?
I guess I'll just say something really quick. That was like a 14-minute back and forth, which we were told,
it wasn't public input, it was on the agenda.
Yeah, he was on the agenda.
So that's the
Just-
only, so it doesn't matter what we come with then, for if you get on the agenda. Then you'll talk to us then.
I think that-
Providing that we have the information ahead of time.
Yeah,
what
there was
we-
a meeting, I don't remember, we talked about the agenda format and allowing keeping public comment and then allowing people to request to be on the agenda. So if you want a two-way conversation, because otherwise, the board gets sort of, and I don't know, blindsided is a good
Okay.
word to use, but
I know.
it's just so they can answer a question and be
Yeah.
prepared.
So we knew about this.
Okay.
It was in our packets beforehand, so we knew.
I'll do.
And I was trying to wind that up.
I heard him over here banging. I heard him over here banging.
Sorry.
Maybe you don't have to go. Yeah, I did.
I did move it too, thinking I could see it.
I didn't see that. I heard it. Sorry.
So no public input. Moving on to mail, which we decided needed no response. Complaints. I don't even know if this is an update more than a complaint from Tony Vigil.
That was just part of the mail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
What?
Yeah. Moving on to item number 3. Review and approve minutes from 9/6/22, which we can't do because I wasn't here. That only allows 2 votes.
Okay.
So we'll have to hold off on this.
You're cruising now.
Yeah. All right, so next up is meeting minutes from September 12th, 2022. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor? Jeez, only 3 people here. All right, next up, payroll warrant number 14 in the amount of $25,988.96. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, any discussion? All in favor? Excuse me. Accounts payable warrant number 70, excuse me, for year end 2022 in the amount of $2,988.94.
So moved.
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Big one.
Yeah, all right. Accounts payable warrant number 15 for year end 2023 in the amount of $78,688.59.
Let's see if you have the word.
No, I didn't either. Everything was.
I'll make motion with that.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right. All right, item 5, unfinished business. Lyman property map number 3, lot 994. Need to vote, approve, notarize the quick claim deed. Oh, Marble, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just.
Are you gonna need all the signatures on this?
I don't think so. I can ask, Tim, we can sign it and notarize it tonight, and if Tim says, oh, I need 5 of you, then we'll just bring it back, but he didn't say it had to be, he said it had to be in an open meeting. I think the email's in there, open meeting and the majority report.
I love his bills on the first page.
Yeah. I think you might get the independent lawyer looking at it, so.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. Well,
He did mention, so back in like the 40s or the 50s, it was released from the town to someone but never got recorded.
Right.
In registry deeds, so that's the whole mix up on it. So.
I felt like they did their homework. Pretty well. Motion.
What are we voting on, to approve the
We're
quick
on
claim deed?
A, yep.
Okay. Oh, and the next one's the
The
invoice.
invoice, right.
Okay. All right, so I'll make a motion to approve the quick claim deed
Yep.
as written by attorney Timothy Murphy.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Keep that one.
And then right behind it comes his bill. Make a motion we pay for his bill,
Yep,
$306.25.
second that, Jim.
Yep.
All in favor? Or any discussion? All in favor? Old Kennebunk Road gate, I wasn't here, so I don't know.
This gentleman, is it- or do you look like the guy that was here the other night?
He wasn't
Guy.
All right, sorry. I thought it was you. That was the name.
Keep an eye on him.
It was tabled to the next meeting, so I don't know if anyone's been up there, if the gates, if the guy put the gate back, I don't know.
I haven't been. Did you go?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I'll look at it this week though.
So
Yeah.
then it's, we still have the state police wants to know, do we want press charges? And so we have to figure out, like, what do we want to do with this gate?
I feel like
Because
the gate
there's-
goes back up, we're okay.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. I mean, I don't want to push the law on anybody.
What are we gonna do about the locks though?
Yeah,
That's always the issue.
Then we gotta figure that
I'm
out.
gonna go back to keys. Somebody comes in, signs a key out, they take it. How are we gonna know they lock it up when they leave? That becomes a problem.
the last lock was cut off with bolt cutters, and then the gate gets taken down after that.
I mean, the lock keeps honest people honest.
That's it. That's right.
It's been an ongoing thing for how many years, Morris?
20.
20 years, 25 years, it's been going on.
I've heard of it. I mean, we've talked about it. I don't know how many meetings.
Yeah.
So there's a huge file on it.
I don't know what.
Maybe at the very least, go back to keys and a lock. You wanna get in, come see Lindsay, sign a key out. But it's still, it doesn't mean that that person that signs it out is gonna lock it up. And that becomes an issue. When do they have to bring the key back? The same day, the next morning?
Didn't the residents have keys?
Yeah, the residents.
No,
Nope.
At one point, they
landowners did, I think
The
the
land-
landowners did.
The landowner's resident, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just a resident, yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we issued keys to every one of the landowners,
Okay,
so they didn't have to come get keys,
okay.
all right?
That's the most important thing.
Yeah,
So we'd issue a key to what, a hunter?
no, we didn't issue keys to hunters.
Good.
If they wanted one, they had to come and get one.
That's right.
But who are they? Hunter, we're assuming hunters.
Somebody,
else would
if
want
somebody
it?
wanna come in there and sign it out.
Guys during the summer wanted to go run rabbits would come in. That was pretty wide variety of people. We weren't fussy. The only thing I think we gotta be cognizant of is, if you're gonna do, a lock for the fire department, if they want to
Yeah, no.
do a daisy chain and put their lock, so our lock locks into their lock.
Yeah, yeah.
So they,
any public individual can ask for a key, it's a county road.
right,
So I mean, if 60 people walk in here and want 60 keys.
Yeah.
They have just as much right to go in there as you.
So I guess it comes back, and that was brought up that last meeting. If it's a county road, and it's been
Discontinued.
discontinued,
No,
yeah.
no, it's
But it's
not.
still used.
No, we tried to discontinue it,
Discontinued.
and we improperly, we didn't notify the abutters properly, so it was illegal.
Right.
We took it to a town meeting.
Okay.
And we voted to close it, and we couldn't because it was voted illegal.
Someone said the county commissioner has to discontinue it? Is that right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
but they don't close it off.
County road, but it's our road.
It just continues. They won't maintain
We've
it.
got property on both ends of it. We got, basically, you're right, locks are honest people. And the other thing they stop is, say, somebody's gonna go right up in there. I can cut the lock off. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not 100%, but
There's one resident that's like building a house. So that was
Right.
his other issue, is he needs to have, get in and out of there, and he's gonna have a house up there, living up there, so.
Right, so see, that brings up the point. So does the gate get moved then?
I think it
So he
goes
doesn't have to open it?
right to the other side of his property.
Well, and you've got gates, you've got one gate in town, you've got a similar situation. And that's an old town road. And it's off Clark's Woods Road. I think you probably know which one I'm talking about. He's a former selectman that has the gate.
Oh, Jelson
Oh,
Road.
you're talking
On
about
Jealous Road, yeah.
Never
And I
mind.
mean, you've got people that live down beyond there. They've got keys. I mean, they make it work. Some people actually like that. You know, they say, all right, I'm building a house in seclusion. I'm down in here. I kind of like locking the gate, especially when they're building. I mean, I don't know if there is a great answer, but there might be an okay answer, if that makes any sense at all.
What if you gave keys to the abutters, to the landowners on each side, right? And then if you had a hunter or something wanted to get up in there, have them come to the town hall, sign a key out, and be specific of when that key has to come back.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
But
we
you just
have a
need-
whole file on it, that's what was done before, and there was
Right.
like sign up sheets and everything, but then the lock got cut off and bolt cut,
Yeah,
so,
okay.
you know.
How long ago did that happen?
Oh, it's been a couple, 3 years now.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is the case been up there, so.
Bill changed it when he became chair. He was gonna do a daisy chain system and just changed it. And I got no idea why it happened, and I don't even remember why it happened.
I remember talking about the fire department.
Yeah, but we had it set up, like Laura said, for quite a few years. And it
worked
seemed to
okay.
work, yeah.
I think.
I think we'll do the same thing.
Yeah, it makes sense, you know.
So for this matter, Brad's gonna see if it's at least put back up so we can deal with the state police, so we can satisfy that portion of it all.
Oh, and check out that road
Hear what happens. with
coming
the-
across. When you leave Alfred, it's the worst road
I
in
mean, the
London.
guy said he'd put it back up, and I don't know, if he'll do that or not, but.
Oh, no, oh,
So
no.
if it's not put
Yours is
back
a
up, do you
boulevard.
want to just contact state police, let them deal with it, or reach out to this guy and say, hey, when you gonna put that back up?
I would think if you gave somebody 24 hours, it's plenty of time.
Well,
If the landowners already have a key, you don't need to worry about them. But let's assume you're going in there to hunt. You don't need a key for 5 days,
Oh, we're talking two separate things.
you know? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to eliminate
I
a
get
key
where
being
you're
left out
going. We're
for
just
weeks
talking.
and weeks at a time, and
yeah,
But
no,
why does it matter if it is?
I guess it doesn't, but
See what I'm saying? I mean, you got
Yeah, I
the
mean,
November hunting season, you got you got your sign out sheet, and they say, all right, it's November, I'm going hunting. So you give them the key. So I guess about I don't know, first week in December, it hasn't come back. You give them a call. Hey, where's the key? If they don't answer the phone or they give you a hard time,
I think
guess
you
what?
charge them
Next year they don't get
$5.
one.
Charge them $5. You bring the key back, you get your $5 back.
Yeah, you could do that too. Yeah, that's not a bad gig.
Are you gonna put the gate on this end at least, gonna be put back up, it's all demolished and put it on the side of the road again.
That's
So we got
what
both
that's what we got,
That's
that's
what
what
we
we
gotta
gotta
figure
figure
out
out if that's gonna put back.
So,
I wouldn't say.
Well, you're talking both ends now, the gate's taken down?
are both ends in?
I thought
The
it was
one,
just-
the one on his sons has been open a long time, last time I was up there.
Yeah, is it physically there and operable?
It was laying on the side of the road, I don't think it's operable, John.
I think it's
got
laid
like
down.
rocks on top of it.
You might be right.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I'll check them both out.
Yeah,
I mean, in low water in the pond down the bottom, you can drive straight through.
Yes,
When the water's up, the pond breaches the road, you can't get through. You gotta
right,
turn around
right.
and go
I
back
drove
out.
through there a couple of years ago. I was over that way
Yeah.
and came through.
I'll check it out.
Should we vote on some kind of action here?
I think we're gonna wait till we hear back from Brad to find out what's going on with the gate, and then we can
Yeah,
deal
if
with the
it's
state
not up,
police.
it's gonna have to be put up.
Yeah,
It may
before you
take
do it.
time, so
We're waiting on
it
the
could
state.
be
We
for
gotta
June.
Tell the state
Well,
police
said
what we
2
want to
weeks.
do.
I would,
And if he's
Yeah,
not
it
gonna
has
put
been
it up,
2 weeks.
then
He said he
we'll
was
press
gonna put it back
charges.
up.
He said he's
Put it
Okay.
back up, we're gonna
Right.
walk away.
yeah,
I think that's kind of,
So we'll
Okay.
probably discuss it again.
2 weeks.
all right. Let's move on to E, Oscar Littlefield Road updates for Brad, see email. We're just waiting for a response. We haven't got anything really on it yet, so that's where that's at.
Yeah,
I sent it to, so we sent it to Shelley, and just waiting to hear back from Shelley if they wanna change it.
Shelley is, Brad's? Shelley.
Shelley.
Oh, Wichita?
Wichita?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
on the Spectrum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you guys, we had like our edited version, so I sent it back to her. I think she's out. I got an email response that she's out of town or something, so.
Right, Oscar Littlefield, what are we on with that?
Oh, yeah, there's a trail. Oh my God, how do you get address this? Pile of it.
So I think we're just waiting on one signature.
On the Oscar Littlefield?
Yeah, I think it's down to one signature.
Wow.
And the last time you guys talked about it, you asked about if like water runs off of private property on the, and washes out the road.
Yep.
Brad had got back saying you could rewrite the easements and have everybody sign all over again if you
No.
wanna put
No.
any
no,
liability.
can I address this?
No, I think we're,
Or I'm just explaining to the board what the email was saying, or, you leave it as is and just deal with it. Does that make sense?
yeah,
You guys have an update?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
Can you see the small box?
I tracked down around this weekend, right? Had the paperwork, everything's been out, the last revision on the letter,
Mhm.
the gentleman sent out. He read the letter, looked at the thing, said he'd be in Wednesday night, sign the easement, and I've already talked to Sue, she'll be in and get it notarized. So that'll be done.
There was only one other that there wasn't a record of a signature. And they asked for a resubmittal of the forms to sign. And he told me personally that he would be signing it. It just he got busy and fell behind. And so with those two signatures, if they really have it, we're down to one, and that's Mr. Parker.
You got the other end of the road,
right.
so.
So at the last meeting, you passed a motion to pave all the way up to the first no signing. And if these two people do what they promised, we will be down to Mr. Proctor, which is only about 100 feet from the turnaround, his property.
the gentleman that came here and
Yeah.
spoke to us?
Yeah.
He asked for the scope of work,
Okay,
so.
and we gave.
Oh,
That's the section he's been
that's a lot of movement.
The issue that I have with that, sorry.
no, you go ahead.
The issue that I have is that the two people across the street from him have both signed, as well as the last person. So are we gonna penalize those three for someone that's on the other side of the road? That's what I have a heartache about.
Gary, you want to speak on this?
I just had some questions as to what the work,
Tell them where your property is.
I'm the second place on the left, if you go down Oscar Field. This house is up in the back, just a driveway that approaches the road. But the only thing I was gonna ask, and I'm not sure who to ask, was the cross culverts at approximately station 4 to 5 and 8 that are currently there. In the plan, is there a plan to try to make sure those are both empty of sand and how to maintain that? Because otherwise it's not, they're no good.
One way that the sand's gonna be eliminated is by the pavement.
But I just meant currently, under the scope of work, you have a plan to clean those culverts or a method you're gonna use to clean the culverts.
Clean the, flush the culverts
Yes,
out,
yeah.
right, and clean the ditches. And once the road is paved, 90% of that sand goes away.
Right,
If it becomes too much of an issue, I would pave the ditches.
okay. That eliminates one of the other things I was gonna say, that even after the sand, from where the riprap would start, is still gonna come in. And of course, the faster the water flows, that's the road, was that maybe there should be a couple of check dams initiated in the ditch to try to slow the water down so that it won't accumulate sand down towards
Are you talking about the right side of your property? The right side of your driveway as you're facing it?
No, actually, I'm talking about back out station 4 to 5 and down as you round the corner. Just trying to keep the riprap from getting filled with sand as much. That's the way it happens.
That's extremely tough.
Oh, I know, that's why. I
That's the
didn't know.
reason why DOT doesn't use riprap all the way anymore, you know, is they only do the first 10 feet in front of the culvert, because then that's all they have to clean out.
Yeah.
I would rather pave a ditch and not have to worry about the
So that
sand.
would be a better solution, no question.
You'd save money in the long run.
Well, they just did that on Hamilton Road. Waterboro didn't, because of that violent hill going down. They got tired of dealing with that, so they paved the whole ditch. No more issues. It's a little expense, but you're only paying for it one time,
We've done that on stretches of road in town.
you know? Yeah, so that's it for me.
Anyone else? Agenda?
Yeah, question, Bill Locke, we live down on Wannabe Lane. My question is if there's only one person left, he's way down in the end. We've gone through, done all the paperwork and done everything that we could possibly do to get this finalized. What is the town's legal firm say? Why don't we just go ahead and tar it all the way down to the turnaround right away? And if Mr. Proctor doesn't like it, let things happen. But I'm just wondering what the legal team here has advised, what, if we just went, good, I'm all done, that was my question.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, excuse me, get this in my head. The gentleman, both properties across the road from Mr. Proctor,
Have signed.
the sign. Is there any, how do you figure who owns what of the road?
Nobody does. That's in the right of way. Their property lines are 5, 6, 10 feet away.
Okay, so the right of way for everybody on that road is exactly the same, right?
What do you mean by that, John?
What I mean is, your right of way and your neighbor right across yours right of way is exactly the same right of way.
Dimensionally or location?
Dimensionally, what I'm saying is that, is there anything that says we got a divider with right of ways from one neighbor or the other in the center of the road? Is there anything?
No, definitely
Well,
not.
that's where I'm going. So if you've got everybody and you've only got one little square left, how do you determine whose right of way that square is?
Property pins for one. Tell you where the properties end.
Right, but how far out in the road does he go? We're treating it
He
like,
doesn't go on the road anywhere near it.
well, that's what I'm saying. By waiting for him, and I mean, this is just final logic here. We're saying Mr. Proctor's right of way extends across the entire road, and it don't matter what everybody else on the road wants to do. And I guess that's what I don't understand. You understand?
His right of way is, his property pin is 10 feet off the edge of the right of way, John. So in other words, the pin, I'm the pin, you're the road. So everything from me to you is a road, that becomes a right of way. From the back side of my back in is his property. Everything else is right away in the front of it.
Well, why isn't it right away to his people across from him too?
Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to say.
They have pins the same way.
All right, so who determines why is Mr. Proctor's right of way worth more than the person across him right away?
It's not
You
my
see what-
pin.
You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, I guess I don't understand that. It seems though we're bending everything around for the one person who doesn't want to do this. And we can't really define what we shouldn't pave.
Well, I've told you gentlemen before, I paved the road, let it dig us to court. See how far that goes.
Well, no, I mean, I'm trying to avoid that.
I know, John, I think you're right, I think you're right, what you're
Maybe
saying.
Michelle's got some light on it.
Worst case scenario, you tear the tar up. But who would actually say, like he's saying, that he owns it? If he takes a shovel and says, this is my spot and decides to shovel it up, well, that's on him, and happy trails. But, I mean, it's not like it's permanent in that sense. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
If we just sign an easement, he still owns the property. All he's doing is signing an easement, so we have access to maintain it. That's all he's doing.
Worst case, I guess, is he could challenge it with him.
Yeah.
But then, he's gotta bring that.
Yeah.
And doesn't mean he's gonna win,
I mean,
doesn't mean.
Well, and he's got to dig deep.
Everyone will be through you.
Yeah, when it was a lot of people, I think that's why we were trying to be, not take the stance of just pave it and, so, hey, we had a lot of people, now we're down to one.
And if you've got two people across from each other, that makes sense to me. We can't do that.
Correct.
But if we got one and this guy's okay, what does that mean?
Also, he's on record 3 different times during that meeting, he said he was not opposed to paving the road. He just wanted to see what the scope was, and
Yes.
you provided him the scope.
He was opposed to what?
It was
He was
not.
not
He was
opposed
not,
to paving.
3 times he said he was not opposed to paving the road.
But what was he opposed to?
He wanted to scope.
He wanted to scope of work.
Scope.
Oh,
And
okay.
in fairness to him, I guess none of the letters said.
Yeah, the letters that were sent out were all legalese, and when it was described to him, his demeanor came down, and he was real appreciative.
If I had to guess, I'd have thought, geez, we're making some headway here.
Yeah. Well, we have everybody else, and that didn't expect that one to come
So
back
what's
on us.
our,
Should somebody go talk to him?
what's our result with this?
Yeah,
I mean,
Dave was supposed to call him today.
Dave,
I said we take the one, well, are you keyed up to
Keyed up.
start paving?
Hey, I bet you if I don't do something in the next week, we're gonna lose it. We're gonna lose a window. Because it's
Yeah.
booked and it won't get done.
But
So you're really
we already said to start from
But-
South Waterboro Road.
But we need to start from the back end and pave out.
Oh.
We're not gonna pave in. And then stop and then all of a sudden have to go back and do the last 100 feet. That's my argument. Now we're gonna penalize those 3 people.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And that's the bottom of the hill, so to speak, right?
Yeah, the bottom of the hills where there's a huge issue, but to go down the turnaround, I
Right.
want that paved to eliminate this washout
Right.
constantly.
And I mean, that water's gonna, that pavement's gonna be kind of like a slide for that water.
Mhm.
We've kind of, we've got to be real careful with erosion and paving the ditches. Boy, I'm 100% behind that.
That's the right thing to do.
Yeah. If you look,
Wow. So
Lord's Hill, you know where that is? It's on Clark's Woods Road. You go by my driveway down over both sides of the road there. We played with for years and years and years and years. Finally, we paved the ditches. Oh my God, it's amazing.
I would just like to reinforce that, you know, in this country, the majority wins. And we've got 22 out of 23 of butters
Huge
that
strides.
have signed. And that, I think, eliminates the concern Dave expressed earlier and so forth, that,
I think there's landowner rights too, but they're limited. I mean, exactly what do you own and what do you see what I'm saying? I mean, that's why I think we're trying to be
That's nice for
careful.
Dave.
Yeah.
that's,
Do you have any indication of why he has changed his mind? Or-
We don't know
Everybody's
that
spoken
he
up.
has.
we don't know.
No,
Well, we
right,
don't know that he has.
right. He could be on
You
board,
may
so,
want to have, like, that, Dave was gonna try to talk.
right.
Get him
All right.
to say, yeah, I'll sign it, or no, I'm not gonna sign it, then you act
We go from there.
accordingly and.
But we can't keep holding him off.
You know.
Right.
We're gonna lose that window.
We'll also lose the funding, which is a
And the
huge
funding.
issue, huge
Make a
issue.
motion.
I'd like to touch
What
base
do the
with
deeds
Dave.
say? The deeds
Find
say
out
you
what
have
Dave
just a right of
says,
way?
but how do we,
So there you go, John.
The thing I mentioned also at a prior meeting is the easement that everyone has signed, except for Mr. Milliard and two others, where the road actually
Is there again?
goes on that land. All of us, including Proctor, the road does not come close to 12 feet from the center, and that's what the easement says. I'm giving the town, or anybody, an easement from the center of the road as it currently exists, 12 feet either side. That 12 feet is about 7 feet from my property line.
I think you find that right away up by
And it's that
Proctor's.
same way, all the way up to Mr. Milliard's.
Well, up by Proctor's, he's got 10-foot stretch there that we could cut the trees and take, and open that up.
There is.
It's in the right of way,
There is.
Yes.
that he claims.
Yeah, I think we have our right. Yeah, sounds like with these guys, but.
And the deeds say it's a right of way. Everybody's personal deeds. Am I correct in saying
How
that?
do we,
see if Dave
So-
gets this okay, and
It
then
doesn't say ownership, it says
Then make a
right of
vote
way.
ten.
do we want to make a vote tonight contingent on talking with Dave?
I think that way at least it's there.
At least we don't have to wait another 2 weeks and then we talk to Dave.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Tonight or never.
I gotta get them on the schedule. Have to.
Do we make a contingent
What
on,
if the answer's no?
right,
No to what though, John?
right,
What if Mr. Proctor says I'm not
Up
signing?
the hill.
I don't understand. It doesn't matter whether he says yes or no.
Okay, so then why do we gotta wait for Dave?
Yeah.
We don't. I mean, if we-
Okay, you see, I'm just trying to cut to the chase and make the decision tonight and be done with it.
well, I understand that, but you also, you're saying yes, 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 but you also said they have property owner rights too, to an extent.
Yeah.
So that's why I think we were just trying to the extent, just
Yes.
to give the, you know, and I know we've dragged this out for 10 years.
More than that.
As I've heard from Morris St. Clair.
Yes, yeah.
Make a motion, I'll second it.
And make this work.
One way or the other.
One way or the other.
Do you want to do it on contingent of that, or just do it?
I just do it.
Do it. Right? I make a motion that we pave Oscar Littlefield Road from one end to the other.
12 feet from the center as it lies.
It'll be less than 12
Only
feet.
12 feet.
No, it's gonna be less than 12, John. It's not gonna be 24 foot wide.
No, no, it's gonna be like,
Then just as it lies.
as it
Right.
lies, right, Joe?
Right.
Not taking anybody's property.
No trees are coming down.
balls?
Well, Morris has asked.
Okay, please do it again for clarification.
Okay, make a motion that we pave Oscar Littlefield Road based on the recommendations from the road commissioner, the former road commissioner, of, from beginning to end, taking no property from anybody that's the center line as it lies.
Where it lies.
Where it lies.
I'll second that.
Wow. Any discussion?
No, thank
We
God.
want
no.
to say down to the turnaround, because the road goes past the turnaround.
We're gonna stop at the turnaround.
I'll amend it to go to the turnaround. To include the turnaround?
No,
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 just to the end.
to
of
the turnaround.
Right.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Look at that. Could I now have a statement from Morris St. Clair?
And that was a smart move.
I'm gonna die tomorrow, but it's done.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I hope we never see that on that thing again.
Well, that was good.
I don't know where they are. Let's do it. Give it up.
Yeah, I don't care. That's our signature.
Wow.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You are welcome. Bill, nice seeing you again. Yeah, I can tell. You stop flying?
Huh? No, that's another story.
We'll have to get together and talk about that.
That's right. Get a hairball, we'll have to get rid of it.
Okay.
See you there.
He took me up for a flight years ago. Years ago.
You hang in there.
See you later.
All right, we're doing this.
What's the next one?
Freaking.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. It's gonna be interesting. Oops. I talked to Lee, well, I didn't talk to him, I left him a message. He called me back. He was sworn in 2 weeks ago. My apologies. So that's the.
That was almost painful.
No word almost.
Well, you can't say we didn't do our due diligence.
That's right.
Amen to that.
Many times.
Over 10 years.
Plus.
Plus. Yeah, 12, so.
Next up,
Since Hector was a pup.
ordinance review committee, review approved applicants.
How many do we need?
I don't know if you've heard, I did do, I put a message into Lee Chats. He was sworn in 2 weeks ago by Paul.
Okay,
So that's not, with no response. He left me a message tonight. So we have one.
so you've got 7 more here.
I could go for 5.
I think that's, I don't know, that's what I had. Anyways, how do you, should we just go through them?
Well, let's see how many we want. Let's see what he's asking.
I'm still on, right? You still got me on review?
No,
Should be, I'll get my appointment didn't come up.
Polly gave me whatever she had for a list of, and Lee Schatz was the only one at the time, he hadn't expired.
Oh, never mind. Some policies.
I think she said everyone had expired.
Yeah,
Right.
you can always reach mine.
You throwing your hat,
What'd you say?
you throwing your hat in the ring, or
Yeah, I'll throw my head out, yes, I will.
is that legal to do here?
Well, I mean, your charter doesn't say anything about like an application, it just says you guys.
Well, you could fill an application, you could fill just like you get appointed or something.
You
So,
fill
But
it
I
out
can weigh it
afterwards.
up. You
I
don't
mean,
have to tonight.
you can fill it out after, and you guys can discuss it now.
All right. What's wrong after this?
Well,
We're just doing one at a time? So
Yeah.
we're doing- Johnny? Johnny. I don't know why I got
Yeah.
Johnny. I don't know
Yeah,
why I got
I'm-
Johnny.
what's,
I don't want to be disrespectful.
no, I was that for 100 years. Some people are still. Yeah, that looks, what's the total number we're looking for?
My both eyes are, no, I don't know,
It was mentioned to 5 to 7.
5 to 7.
Yeah, ought to be an odd number, right?
I'd say 5.
We basically had 5 before.
That's the,
Could you get stuff done with 5 people?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Now, Don
that's what I
Hernan
saw from Polly.
said he would be an advisor and a non-voting member.
Might as well be a voting member.
I think Bill Single put a note in his application too, that he would be a liaison from the planning board. So both of them, Don and Bill.
Can we do like the planning board does like alternates?
It's up to you. There's like, in
We
the
don't have-
charter,
we-
it's
yeah,
just
we
a
don't have-
tiny little paragraph.
What's that,
We
Morris?
don't have public hearings and stuff like that, well, we do when you get, but,
No, I was just thinking if somebody was on vacation or sick or whatever, they
Other
would,
towns I saw had 2 planning board members, like, we did a bunch of research for the charter.
Yeah.
What I did find for towns that had charters is they had 2 members from the planning board, non-voting members both, that were like consultant and were there for history. Some towns had it be the CEO and 1 planning board member, but that's what I found with my research, because I had dug into that, for the charter. And then the rest of the members were voting members.
but we had somebody from the code enforcement office who was a member. They give us input like that at
They
every
have to
meeting.
be a registered voter, and
Right.
our CEO doesn't live in Lyman, so.
yeah.
They could be a liaison, but they couldn't be a voting member.
If you've got a planning board member on there, I just hesitate of we got a whole new planning board office. I mean, a whole new code enforcement office. And I hesitate to load them up. I mean, they really gotta go to planning board meetings. I think, code enforcement can spend a lot of time with the planning board. I think the ordinance review committee would be fine without your CEO, as long as you have a good, strong planning board member. That's why I was thinking, pretty important to get Don Hernan somewhere, because he's been around forever. He's incredible notes, and he would be a fantastic liaison from the ordinance review to the planning board and CEO. And I realize I'm loading him up too.
Well, yeah, it was very clear he wanted to work on his golf game.
Yes,
So why don't we, once again, we could have alternate, make him primary and Bill secondary, in case Dawn decides that he's out
Or he's on vacation.
or he's on vacation. And you just have a first and a second, but Dawn would be primary.
you got people you wouldn't vote for, I got people I wouldn't vote for.
I was wondering if that was gonna come up.
There's only 3 of us.
Yeah.
So that means we gotta come up with a compromise if we're gonna get anything done.
Yep.
Now, I'm assuming the first person on the list is a no for you? Okay. I could live with that if we did 1, 2, 3, number 4, and left that one alone.
I did it once, I'll do it again.
What's that?
It would be a no.
Well, there's 3 we've got on here that aren't gonna get nominated tonight.
Well, shoot.
So we're saying there's 3 on here that will.
Yeah, we've got
Let's move forward.
the second one, the third one. It's a lot for me to count. 1,
7.
all right, 1, 2,
Leo, Morris,
3, 4, 5. It gives us 5.
that would be 5, and then you have Hernan as your,
Yeah, here's your liaison, your non-voting member. That will give you 5 voting members.
excuse me?
Lee's already a member.
Right.
That's right, but that puts us into the 5.
Okay.
Right, but I'm just saying, if you leave Don Hernan as a non-voting liaison.
Right.
Then you've got your 5.
Mhm.
Read them, I'll second the motion.
Michael Rancourt, Steve Marola, Leo Thibodeau, Morris St. Clair, with Don Hernandez, a liaison.
Yeah, I'll second that in the interest of getting this done.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor? Done. Nice.
It can take 10 years.
Took too long.
So we just did 5 in 1. Perfect. All right.
Now you got 5 voting members and you got Don on there.
Yep.
Advisor and liaison.
All right, next one, the KCB contract.
So So this was brought up at the last meeting, and you said we could talk about it at the next meeting. Just so you guys know, if you say, we'll talk about this in the next meeting, I just automatically put it on the next agenda.
I'm learning that with you. Ah, man, there's still some,
As someone that uses this field every single weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, and I hear the responses from people that are there and they use the facility, it's a gem.
I don't think there's any dispute
It is a
about
gem.
that contract. I think he's a fantastic contract. I looked at the contract, he didn't even sign it, so he got an invalid contract. Yeah, it was a time of turmoil during the meetings. I understand that. I think I sent an email from my position. I'm fine, well, all right, we didn't give proper notice, all right, everything was sideways. But man, I missed it because of my confusion, all right? But you didn't even write down what you voted on that meeting. I mean, if you'd have just, it don't look good. And I mean, we could, from my point of view, and at this point, I wouldn't change a thing. What I would do was, I would just clean it up, ask the attorney, say, look, this has been pointed out to us, we're in this position, or even get him in my advice, don't spend any money. Revote it, do whatever we gotta do, just clean it up and make it look right. That would be all I would ask. I don't know what Michelle's point is, but for me and listening and reading,
Like I said in one of my emails, where it was basically, I didn't even know who it was when the whole thing started. Budget was like a blitz to get it through. I didn't even know who the names were. We had been given that list from Jeanette, because we were like trying to figure out who belonged to what. And then I'm like, well, wait a second, who's taking care of this? Because I didn't even realize, I'm like, because we're missing a contract, it wasn't renewed. That's how this whole thing started. And of course, everyone thinks it's like, oh, they're out to get someone. That's not it. In the end, I was like, well, I'll go watch the meeting. There's no meeting. I'll look up the minutes. There is no minutes. So then I was like, well, how did this happen? Because you have to go out to RFP for a bid that large. And again, there's no minutes anywhere, there's no meeting, there's no video, nothing. And again, my personal experience, I'm not a lawyer, but I've worked with them for a long time, a dead contract is a dead contract. Yeah, you can renew that later on down the road, but in our charter, it calls for an RFP to do that. If you wanted to have the same old contract you had later, it's still, for anyone, you'd have to go out to a bid. But the fact is, charter says, meaning state law says, you have to have, even just on a post-it, what your vote was. You had to have something in writing. It's not trying to be hanged, he does an amazing job, he's impeccable, he deserves what he has. But it's about procedure, it's about following things that the charter is, that's the will of the people, the charter, that's what we have to follow. The state law, following what needs to be written down, it's not out to get anyone, it's just rectify a mistake, that's all it is. So however you do it, that he finishes out this year, you can then combine them down and put it out to an RFP for someone to bid. That's up to you guys to decide, but there's nothing that anyone can go to how this happened. The emails were searched, there's nothing to Brad Warren and anyone on the board when this was going down. That was searched too. And you saw some of the concerns that Brad had with some of the things that were done, and this is just a matter of, yeah, but I think you'd be okay. Is that really how you want to run a business? I mean, that's not how I want to run my business. I want to make sure my T's are crossed and my I's are dotted. I don't want any question of what I'm doing. It's just being legal, legit, and having for everyone involved. You don't want him looking, he probably has no clue about any of this, and that's not fair to him either.
I just remember we had lots of conversations.
Oh, yeah,
It
we
wasn't
did.
like we, behind closed doors, we didn't do.
No, I
And it
agree
was
with
probably,
all that.
and it's starting to sound like a broken record,
Right.
but, we were in turmoil, we didn't have any backup. I remember having
The phones don't work.
the tape recorder there, we didn't even know if that was working right, I remember that. So yeah, we were just
Right, I need
dysfunctional.
phones record, you guys would have called me about coming down. You
Well,
know, and I get that, I get there was a lot going
Yeah.
on, but, and again.
right or wrong,
not
it
pointing-
happened.
Not pointing any fingers, it's just, again, I couldn't figure out, and I did not know what his telephone in the FOIA, I didn't even know who it was, I just knew the initials. So again, this was never, it's not about the person doing, because they're primo, we could not, Rusty, we could not ask for better, you're absolutely right. That's 100%.
Yeah, no issue.
But it's
for it.
clarity for the people of the town that call anything into question, and you guys are doing an amazing job, really rectifying things, bringing things to light, getting things, protocol going, following procedure, and really, I commend you guys since June, how the board's going, really, I'm
Thank you.
really impressed, and I'm so happy that you guys are trying to move things forward in a better light, a clearer light. You're all
I'll
an
take a
amazing
note,
team, but you're all an amazing
Yeah.
team, you really are getting there, and I'm proud of that, seeing that after all this time. But if an error's made, you just fix it. It's not pointing fingers, it's not blaming anyone, it's just rectifying something that went wrong. I'm done, sorry.
So he's got,
What you just said.
he's got some work left to do for the season. You're in your season now, so we can finish off the season and then
We changed the contracts a while back. It used to be June to June, and it was just a dumb time to change a contractor in the middle of June.
Yeah.
So they moved it to November or something.
I'm gonna do November 19th.
So you have all the documentation that we have now, we'll have to take a look at it.
Yeah. So in November, we'll just probably.
Yeah, just get it out, get us enough time, yeah.
That's, yeah,
But that
Right.
gives you an opportunity to kind of both combine both of them, because they were.
no,
separate
that
before, and
whole thing too, yes.
That makes it a beautiful package.
Okay,
So,
so next one's the invoice.
So, yeah.
I don't know how long we can pay this.
Yeah, it just came through as like an estimate.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah,
yeah, that was the wrong paperwork to be on, so I make a motion, we pay this bill for that emergent, response when,
And I want to throw out there that this is the type of guy that Billy is. He paid for all the piping himself, or the labor, I should say, to do all this work because he cares about that field.
But I think
He
the town
takes
should
it
pay for his
personal.
labor, he
He
deserves
takes it
it.
personal.
I don't think he should lose that money.
When I saw the fire trucks up, maybe I shouldn't say that. When I saw the fire trucks up there spraying it down because there was no water in the pond, I was like, the guy really cares. He really cares.
Right.
And it shows.
And again, this is kind of the same thing, just, and I know it's had, you know, what's the old saying, and it probably isn't politically correct. When you're up to your ass in alligators, it's hard to remember the main objective was to drain the swamp. That's happened to us a few times. And this was one of them cases. It's just we got better, gotta get better.
Is that a
Yeah,
farmer thing?
you've never heard that before? Oh, that's older than dirt.
Eyes of water.
And, you know, you realize Peter's gonna get after me now, right?
Yeah, that's okay.
And this one too, I mean, yeah, great guy, great job, oh my God. But I mean, none of us knew about it. And a email, phone call, something.
It
We
wasn't that, he alerted Dave and we both walked through it,
Yeah,
told us what he thought should happen.
yeah,
And then he pretty much said, I'm gonna do this no matter what, because this needs to be done.
right,
And
right. But a quick
I think he
phone
was
call to
willing to
that.
take this on
Oh,
himself.
I know, but a quick phone call, hey, we're in an emergency situation. If you'd have called me, my first question would have been, yeah, we really need to do it. How are we gonna pay for it? Where are we gonna take the money? And the good news was, we had that bundle, that, I always call them revolving accounts. It's not, that's not the right word. But we had money left from the tree cutting money that, right, and that was available. And again, that could have been another quick call. Hey, Jeanette, we're in this problem. You know, we need to do this. How are we gonna pay for it? And she would immediately, because she's on top of that. She would have known.
She was.
Yeah.
She was consulted with.
Yeah,
And I had a call from Rusty.
yeah.
So there was three of us.
Okay, as long as there was three of you.
Yeah, I've said this before, I
didn't realize that.
was informed because I knew the fire department had gone out.
Yeah.
And they couldn't they couldn't do it again.
Yeah, see,
Fire
this is the
department couldn't
this is
do
the first time I knew the fire department went out.
Yep, they put 1,000 gallons out there.
Yeah.
They were gonna be asked to do it again, and she said he couldn't, the labor, the labor and all that stuff, and, taken away from the town, couldn't do it. So this was all coming, it was just that really bad drought, and there was
Oh, yeah.
no end in sight.
Right.
And then, and then Jeanette did say there was money left over, so, and then I heard that, that he was not gonna charge for labor, so.
No, we understand weather, that's how we make our living.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Okay, so there's a motion on,
Brian, I'm sorry,
there's a motion on the table. I had made a motion to pay this.
I'll second it.
Okay, any more discussion?
All in favor?
Okay.
Sorry, Brian?
So 3 of you knew who approved it.
I knew about it in the morning at 7 AM on the way by and said, I put the email to Jeanette, we got money for this, blah, 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 and it was installed by the time we got back through.
So no one approved it.
See, you had no consensus.
No.
See,
Well, we did, Dave had known about it and Tom had talked, we had already talked together.
We can't talk together because that's meeting.
Right.
You can call Rusty and say, hey, look, I was talking with Dave and he thought, well,
That's
you
kind of how it went. I don't know what.
Okay, I'm
but
just saying.
I was involved, I was in the loop, and I said, if we have to do it, we have to do it. We cannot lose the ball field.
Right.
Because,
But no one approved it.
Well, consensus is okay, because then you can approve at the next meeting. What they did was fine. What my issue was, is you got 2 other members and we were in the down.
Yeah, it happened super fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did, it happened super fast.
okay,
All right.
all right.
Item
That's report.
6. Treasury expense. Oh my God, I gotta read this.
So expensive.
This is huge. I don't think I'm gonna go through this entire thing. Unless anybody wants to hear anything specific.
No, it's posted.
All right, item 7, new business, open seal bids for town-owned property tables and chairs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Transfer
That's
station.
Yay,
Did anybody bid on it?
1%.
Oh, can't wait.
Want to open it?
Can I open it? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are they gonna charge us to take them?
$5.
Well, you're up from the first one I've heard of at the transfer station. It was a lot.
Negative 10?
Yeah. They beat the dollar. I'm just so excited. I don't know.
Don't share the bid.
I don't know what to do with myself. So excited.
It's Christmas.
The glue by hands. Ready for this? It's gonna be huge. Bid for all, $1. Sold, Dave Riley.
He doesn't, this when he sees them.
Perfect.
He's got an eye for that stuff. It's gone.
Hopefully he's got storage for it.
We'll
Yeah.
go right in his mouth.
Scrap pile. Oh,
Make a motion on it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
move we accept Davy's bid.
second,
All in favor?
before it goes away.
We
Where does
keep
that money
going,
go?
I don't have to list.
Yeah, where will that money go?
Well, so yes.
Pizza party?
I'll have to ask Jeanette.
It'll be,
Not on the
piece of
dollar.
pepperoni.
Hey, piece of pepperoni.
Maybe a half.
Randy said, I thought it was kidding. All right, final word.
Hey, pays to put that little bit in.
John,
Yes, sir.
are you gonna bring that up about taking money out of surplus for this warrant, and the warrant coming up in November?
I think there's like
Like we
another,
talked about?
other business.
I'll bring it up right at the end, Morris.
Under other.
Okay,
Under other, I'll bring it up.
Okay.
You're gonna help me, right?
I'm gonna help you,
Okay,
Brad's gonna help you.
perfect.
So,
Alright, so we're-
final warrant, schedule a public hearing to attend to. So this is the warrant.
Yeah, these are like all the questions you guys voted on, it's compiled into one warrant, so this doesn't have to do with like the ballot and stuff.
Mhm.
And then you have to schedule a public hearing, no later than the 28th, but not sooner than the 3rd, because I have to get notification out there.
What are those days of the week?
There's also, GA is requesting a public hearing on the 3rd, so.
Is there a selectmen's meeting in that 10/3 too?
Yeah.
Which ones?
The 3rd. You have a meeting on the 3rd in October.
Yeah, and then we must have another one in October.
17. So 3 and 17.
I'm all set. It looks like everything we,
Are you guys fussy about the 3rd or the 17th? Which one works for you? They're both meetings for us. Can we schedule them before our meetings?
Yeah, you can. I just want to give you a heads up that Priscilla requested a public hearing on the 3rd. It won't take too long.
We'll do them both
That's
on
the
the
next
3rd.
item on the agenda, so I don't know if you want to do 2 public hearings and a regular meeting.
I'm fine with that. But it's up to you guys.
third, I'm fine with the third.
Yeah, I'm just.
I move we to both public hearings on the 3rd.
Second.
Oh, second, I'm sorry. I'm looking. Yeah.
Discussion. Yes.
No.
All in favor?
Right.
10 favors. Sorry,
I'm
Dan.
gonna see Tucker.
And then you just have to approve the warrant.
Oh, yeah, you're right. The first part.
I move we approve the warrant as written.
Second.
Yes, any discussion? All in favor?
All right. Under other, I've got another other.
Well, what about the, oh yeah, never mind.
Can I do my other?
Scared me.
All right, we've had quite a bit of discussion about South Waterboro Road. Morris and I have been pretty adamant about both our opinions. We were both sort of wrong and right at the same time. And Brad, God bless his soul, did a lot of clarification. So the gentleman I talked to gave me the correct information from his perspective. Morris didn't have enough information to flesh everything out. Now, what Brad found out was if this state program to match is matching funds, and the thing I like about this program is, let's say, whatever we decide, this is just an example and I'm one guy. Let's say we get to June, we survive the winter, things are going well. We look at our situation, we say, all right, maybe we can take 500,000 out of surplus to do this South Waterboro Road. We hand it to the state, they immediately encumber it. Within 14 months, we've got $1 million. It's a contract with them, it's a guarantee, it lets us double our money. I like about that because it's an immediate contract. It's not, okay, you do that, we might do this, like a lot of stuff. The other thing I like, we know it's coming in 14 months, 12 to 14 months. It's $1 million job. That gives our fine road commissioner a chance to go through it, write it up, get it out there. And that should appeal to the larger contractors and would give us a chance to get true competitive bids on this. So, Morris kind of said, given that, if we say we'll work towards that in June, no promises, the world could fall apart. But I told him I would vote that way. He'd leave us alone, be patient.
So you're not willing to put it on November's ballot?
We haven't got time.
Oh, couldn't even think about it.
Yeah, we can't, Morris.
So it's after 14 months, they match.
Within 14
Within
months.
14.
You have to apply for it.
No,
So in
can
other
we-
words, let's assume we give them a check tomorrow for $500,000.
Yeah.
Within, say 2 months down the road now, we decide we want to pull the trigger on that. we have to give them 12 months' notice
Mhm.
before we do that project. That money is automatically encumbered, they keep it, we're guaranteed the money.
Yeah, is it, I'm just,
Mm,
questions
yes,
flowing now.
We
I
would
mean, can
become
you
the
add to
general.
it the next year and be like, if we don't use it, we put 500 in, I'm just getting, throwing numbers, and then like the
No.
following year, we're like, huh, let's put another 500.
We won't lose the funding.
Right.
Right, and we would become the general contractor. They write a check back, it goes right to our bank account. We put the RFP out, we hire an engineering firm, they oversee the job. DOT doesn't have any control in it. That will become our control.
And you know.
So we can pick and choose what sections we want
Right.
to do. An engineering firm can design it, and we could do, half a mile here, a quarter of a mile there, get rid of a bunch of bumps here, whatever we wanted to do. And they write the check.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of disparaging discussion. We thought the state should do things differently, especially in front of Layton's Pit. We wanted more crown. We think they're wasting money with skinny mix. We get away from all that. We get it properly done, and we got enough time ahead with a big contract so to me, it's a win-win. And I mean, we could do it with a special election, but my reservation I got is we don't know how crazy things are gonna get this winter. If we gotta abate 50 homeowners' taxes to keep them in town, or we've got other things we've gotta do, but I think we talk about it during budget, and I know the budget committee wants us to do a better job getting more of the budget done earlier, and we should, we always did. And I realize we were sideways with help last year, I understand that. But as soon as we could make an agreement on that and do it, ain't offering you double your money.
The program works because Kenny Bone just did it on 35.
Yeah.
They get $1 million.
12 months ago, they put it in for $1 million, and they just did $1 million worth of paving.
And the
They
other,
got 2 million basically, 'cause they ponied up $1 million.
and the rumbling about it is, if we do this, it stays a state aid road, and there's nothing official, but kind of the rumbling Brad and Morris have both picked up is, maybe the state wants to give it back to us, and we really don't want it.
Well, even if they do give it back to us, it'll be up to spec, so we won't have done anything for 20 years.
Well, yes, but what I'm saying is we want to get the stuff done before they give it
Exactly.
back,
That's correct.
The
So
only
is this something we
reservation I have with
should,
this, John, and wait to June,
What's that?
is you got no guarantee, that surplus is gonna just evaporate.
Why would,
If you don't encumber that, the amount of money that's surplus right now somehow, to put towards this right now, we got no guarantee that the money will be there when you go to June town meeting.
Where would it go, do you think, Morris?
Well, you never know. They may spend it on next year's warrant. Different board, different outlook.
you're gonna have this board until June, Morris.
I understand that, but I mean,
That's a question, I don't know,
know.
that's a question for the treasurer.
Yeah.
And
I think it's worth looking into.
we ought to have a full board and a good discussion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it might be that 400 is more comfortable than
Yes,
500. Who knows? But if we had a real number, only she would know that,
she wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
And if we have to keep a little extra, if we have to keep 3.5 months instead of 3 months, or whatever it is, to be on the, absolutely on the safe side, then that's what we do.
Has the audit been done yet?
I
No?
don't believe
Go ahead,
so.
John.
I don't believe so, no.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
It's a good conversation having.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I mean,
Just a general point of view
Maybe-
on where we're going.
we've got a public hearing on our next agenda, right, on our next meeting, the 3rd.
Yep.
So, to me, it would be a good agenda item for the 17th. for us to have a good discussion on that.
Discussion on it, and then we can get the homework done between now and then.
Right. Jeanette can get some insight for us.
Did she send out something today saying that budget process is gonna start up here soon?
Yeah, nothing to really worry about right now. I think she's looking for other departments to kind of put in some of their input.
But it's starting.
Earlier, the budget committee voted to meet quarterly. So we're gonna have Jeanette give us the numbers in the first quarter, so we actually can review kind of where we are at compared to what was voted on. So it's actually something that we put into the charter if it gets voted in, that the budget committee meets quarterly. So we'll have a better
And that,
head around what the budget is when we get to the end meeting.
and that would fit right in with that. We could propose that in the budget committee meeting. They tentatively look at it and say, well,
We're hoping to actually like submit a report to you gentlemen, and really, once we had our meeting and what we seen, we want to be able to give you an update of what we saw, if there's anything to say. I think that memory serves from our meeting.
Yeah, and it might help expedite speeding things up where things are not loaded up at the end.
would you like their opinion on what we just talked about?
Sure.
Is that appropriate to ask for?
Sure. I mean, it's a budget item.
Just an opinion, but I mean,
Well,
if I wasn't on the
well,
budget committee, I would think if you can put money and have it matched
Well, yeah.
dollar for dollar, it's like.
but believe it or not, I'm infallible. I'm not infallible. I might be missing something. So more eyes.
No, I think matching funds is a
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, and I mean, the rest of the committee, run it by, and if you would, please. All right, I'm done talking, and I still get home in time for talking. I move we adjourn.
No,
No, and you make sure you get everything signed here today, because we gotta have all signatures. What's that?
Yeah, there's one, I think you weren't at the meeting when they approved it.
Oh.
I will notarize.
How many we got total I gotta sign? Let me have a number that I can count.
no, that was just a guess.
Yeah.
I haven't signed it. You want to notarize it? You want to-
No, you sign it.
Can I borrow your pen, please?
I don't know, we have to go.
You want him to sign it first, let him sign, and then you can notarize.
All right.
You okay with blue ink on this?
We're supposed to have at least one blue one, aren't we?
Sorry.
I got black. We got blue on that one.
No, blue on, yeah.
It is.
But I do want someone's black pen.
I don't know why that's there. I really don't care.
When you know this stuff has to be
That's a sign right there.
Oh, you know what? There's gonna be more signatures, so if you go through here.
Oh,
Oh, is that a packet? That's 2 sorry.
Yeah, just on the other page, find your names.
we got, you don't have Jessica's signature.
Thank you.
You have
As long as that's what we want.
Yeah, we'll have our three.
Yes. This is for the quick claim deed.
Oh, good. That's correct. Can I do that? Oh,
Okay, there's that one.
Here comes the rest.
this is black.
Make sure and let her double check it before
All this now.
Okay, you need to do this one.
you do this one.
Do I gotta sign that one again?
Yep. I think it's good to go.
What am I signing?
Yeah, they talked about everybody else.
John hasn't signed this one.
It's good.
Yeah, but that after mine.
Okay.
You do what?
Yeah.
That goes back to him. Just make sure you double check, make sure we all got it. John, unless there are a couple, well, 3 of us here tonight. Oscar Littlefield.
Oh my God, did you just roll the dice with that crap?
Oscar Littlefield. Joey will be happy. It seems Bill locked it forever.
Be prepared to explain yourself a bunch of times on that.
Okay. Thanks. All started?
Did I do
Can't touch it,
everything
I'll
right?
tell you that.
Yeah, but
Do we need to make a
that's
motion?
jump a little bit, right?
We can make that motion, right?
Reopen it.
You did.
You just slide it
I
like,
move with
and
John.
that handle just
I
like
second.
center of that.
Okay.
I
All in
can't remember
favor?
her shoes.
Oh,
She said, doesn't matter. I said, oh, nothing, I'm okay. Little tiny tear coming down my eye, but I'm okay. Yeah.
What did you do like that? What did you do?
I got my finger stuck between the bucket and the compactor next to me. And just as it was starting to stretch me, I go,
I was interested that only
Healed
one
my
business
skin,
is existing in the wrong contract.
and of course, I saw that
So
the
he bought the
I
other
just threw
brewery.
the piece of skin
Oh my
out.
God.
somebody.
So when I got home, it was all wrapped up.
Because
So
I
I
wanted
just
to
said, oh my God.
Well,
Did I
that's
fix
about
it?
it.
There's nothing there to fix. Well,
We changed the language.
so her mother was,
We changed the language.
her mother was a nurse.
Funky Bone didn't exist, they came in,
So she
under
went
the new
to
language.
fix it all
We
up.
would be able to,
Right.
we would have no
Just
Funky
left
Bone,
the
it
skin
would not be on the map.
Put the skin back on. It would have been.
I have two.
And that was gonna be my
scars in
explanation.
hand
There was another
because
brewery on
when
there
we used to
too.
play
Is
hockey.
that the one on Hill
They used
Road?
to use
I don't know.
women's clear.
But
thick
someone
That's
said
Poland?
third
seal a
one,
cut.
and I was like,
Yeah.
what's the third?
Now you wanna talk about burn,
Oh, yeah.
but that ridge that it leaves is still in my hand today.
I'm gonna, so I'm gonna ask Lindsay to set